In this video, we're going to go over some of the scripting and visualization features of ScriptRunner. So to start off with, notice here I have three different windows open. I have the Windows Explorer open, which contains some of the scripts that I'll be working with in this video. I also have the PowerShell ISE window open here, which shows what the contents of those scripts have. And then I also have the ScriptRunner web console up here, and I'm in the scripts and commandlets section. I've already added the scripts that I'll be working with in the scripts and commandlets. So notice that the scripts are in the upload folder, and whenever they aren't here, the ScriptRunner host just automatically recognizes those. So these have already showed up inside of my scripts and commandlets section. If not, I could have just clicked on reload and it would automatically bring those in. So now let's start off with this example script. So notice in this example script, just a typical PowerShell script that you're probably used to. It has its comment-based help, which is what you should always have, and it has some various parameters. So notice the parameter here is mandatory. It has some types defined. So the text parameter is string, the number parameter is integer, date time is date time, boolean is boolean, and password is secure string. And then notice it doesn't do anything fancy whatsoever. It's just outputting a single PS custom object from those. And then there on line 60 through 62, that is a ScriptRunner specific context. So the SRX env variable will only exist whenever the PowerShell script is run within ScriptRunner. This should actually show the output of the script inside of ScriptRunner. So let's go ahead and see if it does that. All right, so to figure this out, since we already have the scripts in here, we can go in here to example script and we can take a look at this. So I'll go ahead and edit this. And then you can automatically see that it already understands. It's already ingested all of that script and it understands what parameters there are and some of the comment-based help stuff here. All right, so that's the easy part. But we can go over here and go over to actions. And let's say we want to execute this script. So to execute this script, I will just go ahead and click on create to create a new action. And then I will find my example script. And once I do that, I'll click here. And then one thing I wanted to show you, there's a lot of different things here we can do, but one thing I wanted to show you was how it understood the help and parameters. So to do that, I'm going to go over here and click on the parameter section here. And then now you can see that we have each of the parameters defined. It's read the PowerShell script and it natively understands those things and has displayed them in the web console. So notice here that the text param, this is the same thing as text param over here. So it understands that comment-based help and is displaying it here in the web console. And then we can always add in the parameter values as we want here. And then also same with number, we can add the number here. Another thing I wanted to show you was how it natively understands object types. So notice whenever I clicked in here, I could just type some things. It was just free text. However, when I click in here, it brings down a date time dialog box. That's because it understands the date time. So when I go over here to my script, you can see there on line 41 that it is a date time object. It natively understood that and provides a nice input dialog here. So now the same thing can be said with Boolean. So on line 45 and on the left there is a script. You'll see that is Boolean. When we click here, it knows that if it's a Boolean value, it can only be true or false. It's giving you the option to do these automatically, which is really cool. All right, and one thing I didn't show you earlier was the password parameter. So notice here the password parameter is a secure string and it's a password. So we're going to say that it is a sensitive string that really nobody needs to see. ScriptRunner has a really cool feature to where you can add various things to define how the web interface here, ScriptRunner, whenever you run the action, how all that performs. So notice there on line 47, we have a help message and we have ASR display password. So this is telling ScriptRunner whenever the script gets loaded into the ScriptRunner engine, it says this is a password. And then if it knows that it is a password, it will obscure the text that you put inside of this parameter value. So now notice that when I type things, it's just like your typical password, the string is obscured. However, when we go over here, this is not, because we did not provide that help message. That's a really cool feature of what ScriptRunner has. Now that we've put in some example values, let's go ahead and click OK to create this. Then now we've created the example script. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. All right, when I run this, I'm going to run this directly on the ScriptRunner host. You can see that we can provide lots of different targets here, but for now, I'm just going to run it on the ScriptRunner host, which is direct service execution. And then I can come over here to my parameter values, and now you can see that these are already set ahead of time. Whenever I created the action, I created those as default values, if you will, and now I don't have to type in all this. I could change these if I wanted, but for now, I'll just go ahead and leave the rest of these the same. All right, now that I have all of the parameters in here, let's go ahead and click OK. And now you can see that it starts running. All right, when it's done, I'll go over here and I can see the recently, this is a shortcut to see the output. I'll go ahead and click this. And then now you can see a report of everything that it has done. Here's the parameter values that shows you those, which is great. Here's the result message. This result message you can see looks familiar if you're used to the PowerShell output. It output in a nicely formatted way, mind you, the exact output of that PS custom object over here. This result message here is because of line 61, where we are setting that result message property to the output object. All right, and there's a few other things over here. If you need to do some kind of troubleshooting, whatever, it just gives you the direct output. All right, so that is how ScriptRunner understands parameter values and the help. Let's take this a step further and implement what it's sort of like PowerShell dynamic parameters, if you're familiar with those. I'll show you how that works. All right, so first off, I'll go over here to example query. So in PowerShell you have dynamic parameters, which allows you to dynamically query things in your environment and provide those as parameter values for your scripts. So here I have a PowerShell script called example query, and this just grabs all of the folders on my C drive. And then on line 3 through 6 is where it actually add those into a couple results lists that is going to be the value of the file and then the display name of the file. And then there on line 9, it is going to send that result message out. We're going to see that in the report. All right, so let's see how this is going to work here. So now that we have the example query set up, so now let's go ahead and create a new query. So we go into here to new, we specify query, and we're going to query with a script. All right, now that we do that, let's just go ahead and put in a display name, and just for simplicity, I'll just do example query, and I have a few other options here, but we're not going to use any of these options. I'll go over here, and then now we are able to select a query script. So because I already have this in ScriptRunner, I can click here to example query, and it's going to be direct local execution directly on the ScriptRunner host. I will click OK. And now we should have that option to run that script to query different parameter values if we need to. All right, so to demonstrate that, I will go back over here to actions, and I will just go ahead and create a new action for now to make this simple. So I'll go ahead and click create. I will find my example script query script, click OK. All right, now that's in there. And I did want to show you this example script query is exactly like the example script PowerShell script. But notice that instead of just text, I have folder name here for the parameter, and I changed the folder name output here. So this is the exact same thing. The parameter name has just changed to folder name to make it, I don't know, a little bit more believable. All right, so now that we have the action created, now we can go here and click on edit, and we're able to assign the parameter values again. Now, normally we could just do whatever we wanted to here. We just add that in. However, now that we have a query loaded and we can run this query whenever we need to do that, I can click on the binoculars here, and then I can select a query element. And now you can see that we have lots of different options here. These are the default ones that come with ScriptRunner, but you see here we have example query. That's the one that we just added. So I'll go ahead and click this, and then I will go ahead and click OK. That edits my action. So now I will go ahead and run this, and at runtime, I should be able to pull up dynamically all of the folders on the ScriptRunner host. All right, so let's see if we can. So we go over here to direct execution again. We're going to run it on the ScriptRunner host. And then now we can see that it has the arrows and it says retrieving values. Now it says 11 values. So notice these are real-time values directly from the ScriptRunner host. I was able to query these in real time. So this allows you to get a feature just like dynamic parameters without having to worry about all of the dynamic parameter mumbo jumbo that you normally have to do to get this. You simply need to define what code you like to execute in your query script like we did here, add these to the result list and the result list 2 properties here. And then from there, ScriptRunner will just natively understand what you're talking about and allow you to select the folders that way. That has been a good overview of how ScriptRunner understands PowerShell script parameters and comment-based help.